The Washington Post reported that a postal worker from Erie, Pennsylvania, who alleged that he experienced voter fraud at his post office, recanted his story. Now Richard Hopkins, the postal worker, is denying that he recanted his story. What? Let's take a look at what he has to say.
My name is Richard Hopkins. I am the postal employee who came out and whistle blew on the Erie, PA Postal Service, postal office. I am right at this very moment looking at an article written by Washington Post. It says that I fabricated the allegations of ballot tampering. I'm here to say that I did not recant my statements. That did not happen. That is not what happened. And you will find out tomorrow. And I would like that the Washington Post recant their wonderful little article that they decided to throw out there.
Okay, well that's great. That was filmed yesterday, and he said that we would find out tomorrow, what the truth is. The only thing that I found out was that he lied about what was actually going on in that post office, and I'll tell you why with actual evidence. But let me tell you what the allegations were. It's important to understand what he accused the postmaster at the Erie, Pennsylvania postal office of doing. So Hopkins initially told the conservative activist group Project Veritas that he and other carriers were instructed by Postmaster Robert Weisenbach to bring him all ballots that they picked up after Election Day. Hopkins also claimed to overhear Weisenbach tell the other supervisor that he, Weisenbach, was backdating ballots to make it appear as though the ballots had been collected on November 3rd, 2020, despite them in fact being collected on November 4th and possibly later, according to an affidavit circulated by the group and purportedly signed by Hopkins. Hopkins initially said all but one of the ballots received November 4th had been backdated to November 3rd. But then the Washington Post, of course, as we shared with you recently, said that through an investigation, Hopkins decided to recant his allegations. The Washington Post reported that Hopkins admitted to fabricating the allegations while being interviewed by Postal Service investigators in recent days. The Post cited 3 people briefed on the investigation and a statement on Twitter from Democrats on the House Oversight Committee. We shared some of those tweets with you as well. Regardless of what Hopkins is currently saying, if you look at what actually happened at that specific post office, his claims seem to be absolute nonsense. So the Erie Times News took a look at the ballots that came into that particular post office, and they wanted to see like how many of these were post-dated on November 3rd. Well, the Erie Times News reviewed 129 mail-in ballot envelopes that were postmarked November 3rd, but arrived at the Erie County Board of Elections after Election Day. Of those 129 ballots, only 2 postmarked November 3rd were processed through the Erie facility.
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, let me give you more. Not only did the Erie Times News review find that only 2 late arriving ballots processed at the Erie Postal Facility have a November 3rd postmark, but it also found that 9 late ballots processed in Erie were postmarked November 4th or later. So they were postmarking the ballots with the later date. Right? There's evidence of that. And there's no evidence of them, switching the dates or committing any type of fraud in order to ensure that some ballots count. I have more evidence, but go ahead, John.
Yeah, but no, that was actually a really clever thing they did, because when they were setting up that they were gonna steal the election in this post office, they said, you know what, we're probably gonna have a whistleblower here who's gonna team up with Project Veritas. So we better find 9 that we don't steal, so that we then have that as evidence that we weren't stealing the entire thing. The entire thing's ridiculous. And I mean, which seems more likely? That this is all going on and this person has found it, or that Project Veritas has once again pressured people to tell lies in exchange likely for financial compensation? Because this individual, as with many others who team up with Project Veritas, as their claims come out, what do you know, they've got a GoFundMe to raise a huge amount of money. And I believe in this case had raised something like $130,000.
Yep.
So look, here's the thing. In theory, Project Veritas could get in a lot of trouble for handing money over to people in exchange for lying. It doesn't mean that they won't do that or haven't done that, but they could get in a lot of trouble. But if you set something like this up, then you are effectively paying them by publicizing their claims, but it's not you paying them, so you can't actually get in trouble. And there have been many instances where Project Veritas has done this. The claims are rolled out at the same time as a GoFundMe page, and people can make a huge amount of money with effectively substance-free claims that get a lot of like push, like Lindsey Graham was using it and all of that stuff. They never have to actually prove that it's true. It just gets out there and influences people's perception of what's going on.
Right, exactly. And the amount as of Tuesday morning was $136,000. And so keep in mind that lying in a sworn affidavit is a serious crime. The Erie Times News also found that Hopkins admitted to investigators that his statements were not true, and this is important, he signed a new affidavit recanting the claims. It's very relevant, very relevant. So regardless of what the truth is, he committed fraud in at least one of those affidavits, and I would argue it would be the first one that he signed. And yeah, maybe he realized after he recanted his story that there's a huge problem with also collecting money from people based on this completely false premise. So we'll see if anything else develops from this story, but I hope he is being prosecuted, in the very least investigated to see what the reality is. And if he did lie in sworn affidavits, then he should be prosecuted. He should face the legal consequences of that.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.